Hello Year 5, it's really good to see you. I hope you've had a lovely half term. It's been a real pleasure to teach you RE this half term. I think that Hinduism is probably one of the most interesting religions out there, and the practices we've looked at, Diwali, Holi, looking at the practices around the temple and things like that. It's been really interesting to do that with you, and I know you've sent in some absolutely fantastic RE work, so you should feel really proud this half term that you now have a really good knowledge of Hinduism, having studied it twice this year, and and we're going to put that to the test now by doing a little bit of a quiz and then talking about another short little, I like to call them essays because it prepares you for secondary school, but really it's just a paragraph that we're going to write. So have a go at the quiz, pause the video and come back. Welcome back. Okay, let's go through the answers. So which Hindu festival is a celebration of colour? Well, the answer to that is Holi. And Holi was where they threw the coloured powders each other. It's kind of a representation of colour, but also of mischief making, of not necessarily following the rules for a day, something you might not associate with religion, but it's there in Hinduism, another reason it's so interesting. What kind of activity might you see at Diwali, sorry? Throwing coloured paints, fireworks and candles being lit. Two correct answers to this are fireworks and candles being lit. Diwali is the festival of light. Okay, so both of those are representations of light. Which city in the Midlands has a large Hindu population? There are actually lots of cities in the Midlands with a large Hindu population, but particularly Leicester. So when we looked at the Diwali celebrations, they were all taking place in Leicester. Now then, today you are going to get a chance to shine really brightly. You're going to get to take the knowledge that you've taken from the last few lessons, plan your 3-part paragraph, and then write a 3-part paragraph. So to start with, we use a topic sentence, and this can be the first sentence of your essay, your paragraph. And today's topic sentence is this: Hindu festivals are lively and exciting affairs, but behind all of the light and colour are important messages about the Hindu faith. Now, if we're talking about something that's behind something else, what we're talking about really is symbolism. So yes, Diwali is a festival of light. Okay, they have fireworks and they have celebrations and all of this, but the light equals goodness. Okay, it's the triumph of good over darkness. It's the return of people from exile, from the dark places. So what we're going to do is we're going to think about these 3 points. I'm going to help you to do the planning, and then I'm going to leave you to do this paragraph writing on your own. A, because you're very good at it, I know from the last paragraphs that you wrote, and B, because it's good at this stage when you get to the end of a module to be thinking about independent writing and doing it on your own. So, what happens at Diwali and what does it represent? Well, let's refresh our memory. You can look back in your booklet at your notes, but we know that Diwali is a really important festival across 3 religions in India. Sikhism, Hinduism and Jainism. Across the whole of the world it's celebrated. Celebration of light, and it commemorates the return of Rama and Sita from exile. What else do we know about Diwali? That it's a, what does this say, sorry? A time to rejoice, yes, a time of celebration. They give offerings to Lakshmi, who's the goddess of wealth. They want to be blessed with good fortune for the year ahead. They want to express hopes for the new year, okay? So we can mention some of these things in our answer. What happens at Diwali and what does it represent? Now, I'm just going to write this as notes. The point of these 3 planning sections are for you to make some brief notes. So when you come to write your full paragraph, you can refer back to them. So point 1 is about Diwali. And we're going to say it's a festival of light. That the light represents goodness and the return of Rama and Sita from exile. It's also a time of hope for the new year. Okay, and again, you can add things here. So you can say, for example, the light comes from candles and fireworks and sort of light displays in people's houses. So that's Diwali. Point 2, I think, is about Holi, I expect. What happens on the 2 days of Holi and what does it represent? Okay, so we're going to write point 2, Holi, and let's go and have a look at what happened at Holi. Let's refresh our memory. So what did happen at Holi? Can you name like 3 things? Go. 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay, so I'll just assume that you're going to say the same things as me. I'm sure they're excellent answers. What happens at Holy is the day one is all about purification. So it's all about putting those offerings into the fire purifying the air, preparing for this day of celebration. And day two was all about mischief making, throwing the gulal, the coloured powder, having fun, enjoying themselves, breaking the rules slightly. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about here. Holy, day one, is all about purification. And so that's the symbolism. Yes, there's a bonfire, but it's purifying the air around them. Purification, for which there is a bonfire, and offerings. So this is where you put things into the bonfire, like, what did we say, popcorn and coconuts into the bonfire. And that's a way of making a sacrifice to the deities in Hinduism, to the gods. Again, it's complicated because there's one overall sense of God, but many deities, many gods that come from that. So remember when we did Hinduism way back in September, we had this argument about, is it monotheistic, which means, of course, one god? Is it polytheistic, which means there are many gods? And the things we decided on with Hinduism was that it was diverse. Some people believe it's monotheistic, some people believe it's polytheistic, but the only people who really can say for certain are Hindus themselves. So it's not really up to us to say. And then day two is a celebration of rule breaking, okay, of mischief. And that's where you have and I'd like you to use this word, the gulal, Gulal. And what was the gulal? The coloured powder that they throw at each other. And that is all about fun and enjoyment as well. Okay, so you're starting to see how we're planning this. Now you're going to have to put these into full sentences when you come to write your paragraph. Ooh, don't know what's going on there. You're going to have to write those in full sentences. So you wouldn't just say day one, purification, bonfire, offerings, popcorn, coconut, bonfire. You would say, on the first day of Holi, Hindus celebrate with a large bonfire. The purpose of the bonfire is to use fire and light to cleanse the air in preparation for Holi. Or you could even go deeper. You could say the symbolism behind the bonfire is to do that. Okay. So what I want to see when you're writing this paragraph is you turning these into beautiful sentences that I know you're capable of. Point 3. Why are festivals good ways of remembering the important parts of a person's religion? Okay, so I want you to think about symbolism here. I want you to think about the enjoyment that people get out of festivals. I want you to think about how it helps with memory. So why would people remember the story of Rama and Sita when they're looking at Diwali? If you read it in a book, are you going to remember it better reading it in a book, or if you were acting out parts of it in a festival? And how does it help with community as well? Here at Charles Dickens, we celebrate Diwali. How does it bring us together to celebrate a festival? How does it bring people together? Of course, it's a bit different this year with COVID, but ordinarily these would be huge celebrations with hundreds of people. But imagine you lived in northern Canada, okay? Northern Canada, you might live in a city of 500 people, and say there are only 20 Hindus living in your city. If you all got together to celebrate Diwali, how is that going to feel to you? How is that going to affect you as a small community, what's called an expat community? It brings people together. It reminds them of their roots, their home, their community. I've said community a lot there, haven't I? Keep saying the word community. So I want you to write your paragraph. I want you to start with your topic sentence, which you can change if you want to, or you can keep it the same. I want you to write point 1, point 2, point 3. I want you to use joining words like however, because, as a result of, things along those lines. And most importantly, I want you to send it in. I want you to email it in to your year group so that they can read the incredible knowledge that you now have about Hinduism. I know from speaking to some of you that you can talk about this in a way that's really what's called fluent. So it's amazing. You have done so well this half term and back in September looking at Hinduism, and I'm really proud of you. Next half term, we're switching gears almost entirely. We're going to do a topic looking at Christianity and poverty. In the Bible, it says, Jesus tells his followers, if you want to follow me, sell your cloak, your clothes, your furniture, and give them to the poor. Give all the money you make to the poor. When you go out to preach the word of God, just take your cloak. You don't need anything else. So how do Christians justify going out to buy a new Apple Watch or something like that if that's what the Bible tells them to do? Well, the answer to that is some don't, and it's called monasticism. There's people who live in communities where they personally don't even have a bank account. They don't have any money or property to their names, and that's something they've chosen to do. And that's what we're going to look at next half term. We're going to look at poverty and Christianity. It should be really interesting. Thank you so much for your hard work this half term. It's been amazing. I hope you have a wonderful break, and I will see you in about a week and a half's time. See you later. Goodbye.